right. Good morning, everyone. Look at that sea of red.
Yeah.
Looks good. So yes, thank you for being patient as we finished up some things. So obviously we're excited to be here for our second session of the 24-25 school year, which is super early compared to where we've normally been. So this is exciting to get it done with the hope of being productive and making some leeway.
For sure, yeah. And just as a reminder, we are broadcasting by Zoom to our members, and we put some mics here today to try to help folks around the room. We'll try to speak I'll try speak as loud as I can, but that's why these are here, just for the room to hear. And I do think we'll be recording, so
Okay.
we're good to go. Other than that, I know I sent the agenda ahead of time, and I know the big thing on the table is, you know, a counter to the economic proposal that we brought last time. We did also we have that grievance language, so at any time we can do that if you want to get it off the table first, or if you want to do it later, but I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, let's
You want to start with that?
sure.
Okay,
that
way
good.
we can just get it out of the way.
That sounds good.
I see Mr. Gibson's not here today, and I'm sure he's gonna want to put eyes on it.
He will. And we will want him to.
6, 7, 8, 12. I'll give you some extras. Five to start.
All right. Going down that way. Okay. You can do it, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I got a whole stack here.
For Jeff, yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you. You know.
So you good? I got it. All right, so I'll try to walk us through this. A lot of this, I know last year we proposed some drastic changes, and we got some minor changes, which were good. So hopefully these will make sense, and we'll talk for any questions you have. So this is the Article 25, the grievance procedure. We're looking for a change in 25.1.2, just changing to provide a standard procedure for employees rather than certified personnel. We know there may be some folks in both the ESP and our instructional unit.
Is this the instructional one?
This is the instructional.
Okay. I know they mirror each other.
Yeah, but again, like that's what we were trying to go for there. That clearly it's employees that are covered by the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay.
Then in 25.2.1, same thing here, rather than a teacher, an employee or group of employees, because we know we represent more than just teachers in both contracts. And then there was a minor change here, where I'll just read the whole sentence. A grievance is a claim based upon an event or condition which affects the welfare and or terms and conditions of employment for an employee or a group of employees, and or alleged misinterpretation or misapplication of any of the provisions of the agreement and or board policies which have not been resolved as a result of the pre-grievance conference with the principal at the school center. We just struck the office because sometimes it might not be in the office. Maybe he'll be in a classroom. I mean, we don't want it to just be, oh my gosh, it's got to be in an office. Only grievances based upon a dispute involving misinterpretation or misapplication of the agreement, including just cause, shall be all arbitrable. All other grievance based on school board policies will have level 3 as the final step. Then we skip down to 25.2.4. The association refers to HCTA, the employee organization, not just the teacher employee organization. So we were referring to HCTA. Hopefully that's just some clarifying language there. Same with 25.2.5, the term instructional personnel shall be deemed to apply to and include teachers and any other employees of the board who are included in the instructional bargaining unit. So rather than just the teacher's bargaining unit. And then we wanted to add some clarification to the term workday. So what we're proposing here is a new section. The term workdays shall mean a day on which an employee is or was working or scheduled to work. For a grievant who does not work during the summer break, any workday of the superintendent shall be considered a workday of the grievant for determining time limits for grievances occurring but not resolved before the start of the summer break. Because we know sometimes we may have a 10-month employee that doesn't work in the summer. So how do you determine a work day? That would be the superintendent. But any other time, if it's a 12-month employee, it would be their work days. Because sometimes as we were going through the language, we saw day was sometimes day, work day, school day. So we just wanted it to be clear that it's a work day of the employee. 25.3.1, we just added an H there for HCTA. Members shall have the right to be represented at the pre-grievance and level 1 by the association building representative or a representative assigned by HCTA. Just some clarifying language there. Again, on 25.3.2, HCTA members shall have the right to be represented at level 2 at level 2 and above by a representative assigned by HCTA. And part of that is we know sometimes there may be an attorney that's assigned, so it would be someone that's assigned out of this office. 25.3.3, an employee, not just a teacher, an employee has the right to represent themselves at levels 1, 2, and 3 of the grievance procedure. The association reserves the right to represent any employee at its sole discretion seeking to file a grievance. If an individual employee attempts to file a grievance without designated association representative, the employer shall notify the association as soon as predictable or as soon as practical. Under no circumstance shall the school board permit individual employee to access the grievance or arbitration mechanisms of this agreement without prior written notice to the association. The association acknowledges the right of a bargaining unit employee who is not a member of the association to submit a grievance to arbitration where the association elects not to pursue arbitration on the employee's behalf for reason of the employee's status as a non-member of the association. The association must provide the school board with written assurance that it is declining to pursue arbitration solely due to the aggrieved employee's non-member status. The outcome of any grievance in which the association chooses not to intervene because of the employee's non-member status shall create no practice or precedent with respect to the interpretation or application of this agreement. And this comes out of the importance of HCTA to be a party to any grievance that may impact the bargaining unit as a whole. That doesn't necessarily mean that we have to represent a non-member, but there may be cases where if that non-member's grievance impacts the whole, that we're going to want to be privy to that. And then of course it has the obligation on us to inform the board that we will not be representing, that person will be on their own or vice versa. All right, 25.4.1, what we're looking here is just to clarify where a grievance may be initiated at level 2. So the grievance process may be initiated at level 2 if the grievance is filed by the association or the grievance affects employees under multiple supervisors or the grievance arises out of a decision which is not within the power of the grievance immediate supervisor to alter. So we were just trying to kind of simplify and clarify that. Sometimes the level 2 is not, or the level 1 doesn't apply because it's not a worksite administrator, it's maybe a district level decision. 25.4.2, just a capitalization on agreement for this document or this agreement. 25.4.4, the form to be used in filing grievance, the grievance form, is provided in Appendix B of this agreement. And so at the end, we'll look at the grievance form. We did propose it last time, but that way it's just clear. The grievance form is what it is, it's in the contract, and the proposal will be the same for both units. All right, 25.4.7. All we're doing here is just adding the number 30 to 30 work days rather than school days to align with what we're defining as the timeline. 25.4.8, no reprisal of any kind will be taken by the board or any other board employee against any grievance, any building representative, or any other participant in the grievance procedure by reason of such participation. So we wanted this to not just be members of administration or instructional personnel, it would be anyone. And then we get into procedures in 25.5, the second section there. A grievance may be withdrawn at any time during any step of the process. A grievance may be amended prior to level 2 by submitting an amended grievance on the grievance form. So we've actually had this happen sometimes where we settle and we withdraw, with or without reason. So we wanted to make sure that that was in there. And then the strike through on 25.6.1, this is repeated language. So it was repetition there. Same with 25.6.2, it's all up there and it's already stated.
Yep.
Level 1, if the pre-grievance conference with the principal or immediate supervisor as described in section should be 25.6, that shouldn't be a strike through. When we readjusted the numbers, it had the old 24. So if the pre-grievance conference with the principal or immediate supervisor as described in section 25.6 is not resolved to the grievance satisfaction, the grievant or representative will file on a level 1 grievance, on the grievance form. So this is just saying fails to solve. I mean, if you don't solve it, does that mean everything is done? You may find other resolution, right? That sometimes a grievance may come with a remedy, and in your discussions, you may come up with a different resolution. So that's why we felt that language was a little more permissive on that. And then a little further down, again, we're just clarifying workday rather than school days. Before a principal or immediate supervisor issues a written disposition rather than may make, because I think that's part of the grievance procedure is to provide that written disposition. And then again, just clarifying he to they, because it's not just a he. And then regional superintendent, we believe that that's supposed to be a title that's capitalized. Level 2, here we're just again clarifying 10 work days rather than school days. Same with at the top there at page 75. 25.8.5. This has to do with witnesses in the level 2. Witnesses will remain in another room and will be called individually to testify. The superintendent and or their designee shall brief with each witness as they enter the hearing room about the grievance. After the briefing, witnesses shall give a brief background and relate their experience with reference to the grievance. And then we're just adding that the association shall have the right to follow up with its own questions to any witness, which I think happens already, but we're just adding that in there. 25.8.7, all hearings held at level 2 shall be in closed session at the grievance direction. Level 3, if the grievance, we cleaned this up last
back
time.
real quick.
Yep.
Explain 25.8.7.
25.8.7, we're striking and no news release shall be made concerning progress of the grievance. So all we're doing here is that the closed session is up to the grievant. We do this at level 3.
Right.
So why wouldn't we have that at level 2? And then again.
So you're saying that you would be saying if the grievant wanted it to be open, it could be open. Okay.
A big part of this, and from last time, had to do with no news releases shall be made concerning progress of the hearings. I mean, I think that that's legal, in my opinion. I don't think that we should limit people or our ability to communicate to our constituents and our members and the public about what could be going on in a particular grievance. Not saying that we're going to do that, but yeah. Level 3, 25.9.1, again, just clearing up the aggrieved person is the grievant. We fixed this last time, but we just missed that in this section. And then again, clarifying 15 work days instead of school days. And then we wanted to add some clarity here on response to level 3. So towards the end here, try to find a starting space here. I guess it's one big long sentence.
One big old run-on sentence.
So essentially, if the grievant is not satisfied with the disposition of their grievance at level 2, or if no decision has been rendered within 15 work days after the level 2 hearing, they may file the grievance on a level 3 form with the school board through the superintendent with a copy to the general manager of employee relations, either directly or through the association's representative within 5 work days after a decision by the superintendent, or within 5 work days after the 15 work days in which the superintendent should have responded, whichever is sooner.
So
yeah.
It's giving you 20 days. Am I reading that right?
Well, I believe that if you look at 25.9.2, upon the Upon receipt of the appeal to level 3, the superintendent shall notify the board's secretary shall secure a level 3 hearing at the next available date or within 15 workdays, whichever is sooner. So we're trying to set a timeline of if nothing happens, you've got up to 15 days, but hopefully that written disposition will be entered quickly because we've just had some recent experience where there was no timeline. Got it. But again, willing to look at that. 20.
Oh, you see that?
Where?
Right here, you want to edit that to in the
It should be
parentheses.
15, yeah,
Is it supposed to be 15 or
Yes.
30?
15.
Not for that one. I don't, are you
Is
sure?
that one 30?
I think that one would be 30 because that would
All right,
still be
well,
really tight. But
We'll-
whichever,
We'll let you
okay.
counter with the fix.
Got it.
25.9.4, just the association shall submit a written report rather than staff person. I mean, that could be any, depending on who the designated person is, if it's an attorney or me or a staff. 25.9.5, we wanted to be clear on who they are. So we just clarified here that in addition, both parties shall also be provided all the documentation, not they both. So we just wanted to be clear there. Now on to level 3. We wanted to change the order here. The level and we put some rationale here in the side. In the level 3 hearing, the way the language is now is that the association staff person has 15 minutes to present the grievance of appeal, then the superintendent or designee has 15 minutes, then the association has then you go back and forth. But the level 3 hearing is about the superintendent or their designee defending the level 2 decision, not the other way around. It's not the grievance responsibility to defend why the grievance was denied at level 2. So the burden of proof is upon the superintendent or their designee to defend why the grievance has not been resolved. So all we're doing here is just changing the order, that the superintendent or designee would go first, then the association, and then so on and so forth. So it's the same language, it's just an order. One thing we did clarify there in letter F, 25.9.7, is that the board shall render its decision is where that language ends right now. But we want it to be clear and what practices and what should be happening, hopefully, that the board shall render its decision immediately and shall also submit the rendered decision in writing to the superintendent and the association no later than 5 workdays after the level 3 hearing. So I think in practice, what's happened is that the board issues a decision right there. That's well and good, but then it should then be in writing for both parties so it's clear. So we can avoid, well, who took what notes and who transcribed and who paid for the court reporter. And then level 4, we wanted to add some clarity there just in 25.10.2 within 10 work days. Same with 25.10.3, 10 work days instead of school days. 25.10.4, we wanted to add some clarifying language here that the arbitrator's decision when following the procedure set forth in this agreement, not a treatment, but agreement, shall be final and binding upon the association, its members, the employees, and the board. So we wanted to be specific there. Again, just some clarifying language in 25.11.1 with 10, changing him to them. And then those should be self-explanatory, just putting the 10 there. 25.11.2, just clarifying terms of this agreement that this grievance procedure is part of. 25.11.3, these should be disputes between the association and the board. And that's it. And then the last is just the proposed grievance form, which I believe we proposed last time and is what we've been using in practice so far. So we just put it here, and if there's anything we want to work on, change, clarify, but in my time here, at least in the last year, this is the form we've been using for both units.
All right. Yes, thank you.
All right, so now that we got that out of the way, I did want to mention too, I know that we got the final PERC order on the unit clarification. And I'm gonna we'll probably talk with you about it in labor management, just to
Okay.
be clear that, there was some folks that looked at it and said, hey, we don't see our names, but,
Okay.
we'll look at it.
Okay.
Just to be sure before we then put that, I know we had agreed to list that in the contract.
Yeah.
Rather than having to look up the certificate on PERC,
Okay,
but,
so we'll just make sure. It's
yeah, we'll
accurate.
look at it.
Yep, and we want that, and then also in, obviously it needs to reflect in the contract, because we have it
Yes.
in the beginning.
Yes, that's,
Okay.
that's what we're trying to do, is just make sure it's all well and good.
All right, sounds good. Okay,
All right, you're on deck.
all right, sounds good. All right. All right, I'm gonna start with, you want to start with? Go instructional, let's start with
Alright.
that, all right? So, do we all have one on our side? All right, for you. All right, so while we're passing those out, our team, did cost out your proposal that was
Okay.
passed across the table. So I did want to go over, that. And I don't know if everybody has theirs from last session, but I'll just read it kind of to give everybody an idea of what I'm going over. So the CTA proposal that was presented on May 6th, our finance team did cost out the proposal. There are some things that are very difficult to cost out because we may or may not know
Right.
how many employees. So just
Yeah.
as a general idea. If you look at number 1 and 2, basically this is showing with the proposed salary schedules that CTA proposed, being placed and then moving one level on those proposed salary schedules, we have an estimate with our current employee counts of 61,190,485. I'll read these slowly because I know that I didn't make a copy of that. Number 3, we did not cost out how many of the student services employees have the 60+ master's degree.
Mhm.
And the advanced degree supplements increased. We did not cost that out completely yet. We're still working on that. So if you look at ESC supplemental pay to be included in the section 20 of the appendix, it's approximately 2,100 employees at, you were requesting $2,000 for a cost of $5,124,000. We did not cost out the elementary school yearbook because every elementary school does it a little different. We did not gather the information yet on how many do have a teacher that serves as yearbook sponsor. National Board Certified Teachers. For this past spring, there were approximately 91 employees. They received a $1,000 supplement, and that is at a cost of $110,310.20. The next one, the $4,500 payment to teacher. We do not know at this time how many National Board Certified teachers are in our Renaissance or Transformation School, so we have not costed that out yet. The next item there, the Certified Behavior Analyst. This past spring, we had 7 employees that qualified for this at a cost of $8,540. And for those of you that do math and are like, wait, 7 times 1,000, remember that includes fringe. So that is including the fringe. So we do the supplement plus the 22% fringe as an estimate. The next bullet point, we did not cost out because we do not know how many would or would not add reading or gifted endorsement. The next bullet there for licensed student services personnel, I'll just kind of gather it at that. Speech language pathologists, psychologists, social workers, counselors. This spring, we had, now I'm questioning my number there, hold on. Let me calculate real quick, make sure I have the right total. there was approximately 244 employees. So that would be, if you had $1,000 supplement, that would be approximately $297,680. The next page there, SLH employees who maintain their ASHA Cs. I do not know how many this would be, and I don't know if, as I'm staring through you, so I just
Yeah.
estimated at 130. I do not know if it would be more or less. And that would be for the 5,000 would be at a cost of 793,000. And then same thing with the licensed school psychologist with 2 years experience or more, we'll need to cost that out. So as an estimate, and it's, again, some of these items are not included because we were not able to cost them out.
Right.
The overall proposal is approximately $69 million. Ballpark. Yeah, okay. All right, looking at the ESPs. Number one, with the salary schedules that you presented, for number one, paras and ESPs would be approximately 27,387,000 costed out by finance.
Say that again.
27,387,137. Okay. Okay. 7.5 hour to 8 hour. I have that in my notes. I'll have to pull that. I know you have it as well.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a little north of $5 million.
Right.
5.5.
Yeah,
Somewhere in there.
that is what we saw as well. The next bullet point, eligible ESPs shall receive a $2,500 ESC supplement. That is approximately $4,250,000. The third bullet point, we do not know how many FACE ambassadors or liaisons are ESPs at this time, so we did not cost that part out, as well as the micro credentials, we did not cost that out. And then as far as, the nurses, for registered nurses, moving from pay grade 33 to 34. For registered nurses, we have approximately 97 currently on our count for a cost of 337,000. And then for the LPNs to move from pay grade 25 to 26, that is approximately 117 employees at a cost of 273,000.
Say that one again.
117 employees
Uh-huh.
at a cost of 273,411. Okay. And that's about at an estimate with, of course, some of those bullet points not added in of approximately $38 million. About where you were?
I think. Try to see where I was a little bit. I don't think I had. Let's see. I was at 33.8. I mean, we were
Okay.
close.
Okay.
I think,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe the nurse movement may be different just because we were, we proposed a different scale.
Oh, you're
So
right.
I costed it out based on
You're
our new
right.
scale. So
Yeah,
that's probably
Yeah, but that
where,
might be on the old scale.
but I don't know why we're so off. But anyway,
We'll look at it.
we're close.
We can drill down.
we're
We
within
always do.
striking distance.
We are. All right. Okay. So what I have passed across at this time is the instructional proposal that we have. Whoops. I'm hitting microphones, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So really, you did a great job at the last session of showing us what some of the priorities were, right? Through the surveys that you did with employees, through obviously just speaking with employees, speaking with your bargaining team, all those things. So obviously those priorities were salary, compensation for coverage, professional development, some of those areas. So I'm going to start just by looking at priority one, which was salary compensation. So we feel that we did tremendous work, obviously last year. Super proud of the work that we did together to adjust all of our salary schedules, and even to extend the top of the salary schedules, which I think was important as well. We just started these salary schedules, right? We just agreed to them in October and implemented them in November. We have not even had movement yet on those salary schedules. So we are proposing that we keep our current salary schedules. The support schedules in the last 2 years have increased from $11 starting pay, $11.43 to $15, which is a 31% increase. Some of the amazing work we did last year, obviously, was we know pay grade 15, for example, from level 1 to level 17 was $15 an hour, right? That was super compressed. We know that, and that was not something that was sustainable. Some other great work we did is we moved approximately 800 employees to the student services schedule, which was well needed. And the reason that we are proposing to keep our salary schedules as is because it's super important that we keep those salary schedules where they're sustainable, where we can do movement on our salary schedules and we don't create a situation where we can only give non-recurring payments. We want to be able to sustain the schedules that we have within the funding that we receive from the state. So that is why, if we look at the first packet that I have passed out here, we are proposing, if you look at number 1, okay, we'll just go through it. So effective July 1, eligible employees in the instructional bargaining unit would be credited with 1 year of experience in advance on their respective salary schedule accordingly. Eligible employees must have worked half plus a day of the previous school year for 23-24. All right.
What do you cost that step out?
Costed at approximately $12,884,050. And I'm going to pass that out to you also.
Okay.
Okay. Got it here somewhere. All right. Number 2. Eligible instructional employees at the top of their respective salary schedules to receive a one-time top step payment of $2,000. I'll go over all the numbers
Okay,
right
that's
after.
fine.
Okay,
That's
I think it'd be easier because then you'll have both the support and all that together.
Perfect.
Number 3, for the 24-25 school year, we have some concerns short term of putting recurring costs into the salary schedule. Some of these payments we have been doing last year as well as the year before. So we would like to not put them in the salary schedule this year. And we need to be able to maintain what our finances look like without ESSER with these new salary schedules. And we really want to stabilize and make sure that we know exactly what our costs are going out based on our funding sources, our expenditures versus our funding. So for these here, licensed school psych, licensed school social work, mental health clinicians, and certified behavior analysts, we are proposing a one-time $500 supplement to be paid at the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. Eligible employees must have worked half of the 24-25 school year in order to be eligible for that payment. Number 4 is a new supplement that we would be proposing to add. For the 24-25 school year, we're proposing that SLPs who hold their Cs be paid a one-time supplement of $1,000 to be paid at the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. And again, eligible employees must have worked at least half of the 24-25 year. Number 5, we would like to model this after what we did this year, our current MOU, that ESE instructional employees assigned to all ESE instructional, as well as instructional employees at the exceptional centers, to receive a one-time ESE retention bonus of $1,400 to be paid at the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. And again, I'll go over the payments and just the total cost in a moment.
Okay.
Number 6, National Board Certified Teachers to receive a one-time $1,000 payment for the completion of the 10 hours of approved mentoring. Number 7, for the board to pay the full cost of employee-only health insurance premium for the designated health plan offered by the employees and to maintain fingerprinting fees. And then I did, just for anyone who doesn't have access to them, I did include what our schedules were this past year. These are the newly agreed upon schedules. We have schedule, and for those of you who don't have the same familiarity with the schedule, Schedule P is instructional for any employees hired after July of 2015. And Schedule Q is the 12-month version of that schedule. So that would be 12-month teachers or DRTs. Flipping the page. Schedule E is very similar. And it is for those employees hired prior to July 1st. Those are employees that are not necessarily, they have different guidelines for when they move on the salary schedule due to being when they're effective versus not effective. Sched A and B are the old grandfathered, E is the 10-month, G is the 12-month that goes with it, the corresponding one. Schedule A is the 10-month grandfathered salary schedule. This is when employees put back in 2014. Yep, had the option to opt in to the performance salary schedules. These are for employees that did not elect to do that. We are less than 40 employees, less than 20 employees now on this salary schedule. And then Schedule B is the 12-month version of that. I think we have one, like it's very few employees on the Schedule B are on, yeah. Then moving on to our new student services salary schedule. There's 3 of them because our student services employees all have different work calendars. So the first one, student 10, your 10-month, and you can see it's 198 days. That is for, oh, don't hold me to it. Our SLPs and our social workers are on a 198-day schedule. Turning the page, the 205 days. This is the same salary schedule, but it is for our counselors and psychologists. And then student 12 is the same schedule for student services who are on a 12-month schedule. I just thought it was important to have those for reference. All right. All right. Now, before we go over the total costs, I'm going to pass out the ESP proposal.
Put the binding on these.
One of the machines does like a weird. I know.
For me,
There's
I
two.
like it.
Different machine.
Yeah.
I'm always like amazed that it works. All right. All right, so looking at this is our proposal for the ESP economic agreement. Again, we have attached there the ESP salary schedule for our current employees. So number 1, effective July 1st, 2024, eligible employees in the ESP bargaining unit shall be credited with 1 year of experience and shall advance on their respective pay grade on the instructional support salary schedule accordingly. Employees must have worked half plus a day and have an effective evaluation from the 23-24 school year. Number 2, eligible ESP employees at the top of their respective pay grade on the instructional support salary schedule would receive a one-time top step payment of $1,000. Again, employees must have worked half plus a day and have an effective evaluation from 23-24. All right, number 3. We would like to, over the next few years, it's a goal to slowly get out of the business of having all of these one-time payments, right? We want to get there. but we also can only do as much recurring as we can based on our funding right now. So we are proposing for number 3, that eligible ESE instructional support employees. So these would have been employees that they are support employees that work under the umbrella of ESE. And it would be very similar to the employees that we did 2 years ago, haven't included in a one-time payment, right? So it would be our paraprofessionals, our ESE aides, our speech language pathology assistants. So we would have a whole list of that. That's something we would work through with you, right? But they are ESE instructional support employees, are deaf, hard of hearing language interpreters. So we know who falls under that umbrella. But we would like to have them advance 1 level on their respective salary schedules. And then instead of a one-time payment, we would want to regrade them up a level. So for example, if you are currently a paraprofessional 1 on pay grade 15, level 1, you would move to pay grade 16, level 2. Okay. So everybody move a step, but then be regraded 1 level. And we would do that for all ESE instructional support employees. All right. Number 4, we acknowledge that nurses is an area that we need to continue to focus on. We have many areas that we would like to focus on, but we would like to propose that we do advance all registered nurses from pay grade 33 to pay grade 34. I believe this is what you proposed as well. But yours was on a new salary schedule. Yep. So we would like to advance them 1 level on their respective schedule and then regrade them. So again, if a nurse was pay grade 33, level 1, they would move to pay grade 34, level 2, which would be approximately a 7% increase. Number 5, licensed practical nurses. Same concept, would move from pay grade 25 to pay grade 26. So again, they would move the level if they worked, the days that they needed to work the previous year, and then would be regraded to the next pay grade. And then again, the board agrees to pay full cost of employee-only health insurance and fingerprinting fees. Okay. All right.
You said the RNs would be a 7.5 or 7%. What about the LPNs?
It depends on where they are
Okay.
on that. Yep, it ranges, but most of them would be a 7% as well. They kind of fall right where our level steps go between 1.5 and 2. So part of their pay grade is on the 1.5 and then parts on 2. So they would range from, we'd have to look at the low end, but most of them would be near 7% as well.
Okay.
All right. Going to pass this across, which just kind of gives some numbers.
I had a question about health assistants.
Mm-hmm.
You know where they would fall in this?
Where are they currently? We'd have to look it up. Yeah, we'd have to look it up. All right. Okay, so looking at, this is a combination of both instructional and ESP, and it correlates to what we just presented across the table. So again, looking at number 1, eligible employees to move 1 step on their respective salary schedule. This estimate includes ESPs and paras. Basically, the ESE instructional support employees would be, increased 1 pay grade. So that is included in this estimate. So instructional is approximately for our May count, 10,121 employees at a cost of $12,884,050. And our support, 3,594 employees at a cost of $2.6 million approximately. So this would be 15.5 million recurring. I think that's always important to look at. So that's recurring. The next one there is our top step payment. We currently have approximately 1,691 employees at the top step. So for a $2,000 payment would be approximately $4.1 million. And for our support employees, approximately 124 at 151,000 for a total cost of 3.8 million non-recurring. All right, advanced degree supplements. Oh, I didn't put that in the little thing today. All right, so let me. Did I have that in our? I didn't. So, you know, you catch your own errors when you're doing this. So we did include, so this is what we're proposing. We are just, I can't even speak to the amount of work it took to implement the advanced degree supplements because we didn't have that all on file. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I need my team here. So if you look at the second one for the top step payment, if you can make a correction typo there, it should be 4,277,000. You took it away from me. Now I can't say it.
Sorry. Go ahead.
320. Thank you. You can see obviously
yeah.
the 4.1 plus the 151.
That didn't subtract it.
No idea. Yeah, who knows?
It's all good.
Cut and paste is not always your friend.
Hey,
You've been
I
there,
get
I
it.
know
I
that.
understand.
All right, I'm sure it won't be the first one.
Yeah.
All
For
right.
me.
So looking at advanced degree supplements. So basically in the past, when we made the agreement to, and you know, that was part of our impasse process and all that to do the advanced degree supplements, right? And the statutory language says that to be eligible for advanced degree supplement, it has to match your area of certification. Well, there is new language going into effect July 1st that does not, it doesn't mandate that anymore, okay, for a supplement. So what we would like to propose is that we go ahead and open that up. It's not mandated that we do it, but we think it's the right thing to do. And we also think there were several that were denied their advanced degree supplement, but they were in areas that were tied to education. Like every time I had to hit no, it just was like, this doesn't feel right. So I'm glad they made that change because we do have employees that it didn't match their area of certification, but it might be that they have a master's in reading, but they're not certified in reading, right? They have a master's in curriculum and instruction, but it didn't show a major or a concentration. So we would like to open it up that anyone with their advanced degree can be eligible for the advanced degree supplement. It's really tough to estimate that. I estimated how many were denied this past year that had submitted it, but I also know that there's others out there read the guidelines and said, I'm not eligible and didn't submit the application. So it's going to be, I think this will be a telling, we'll know after this, right? We're going to know exactly how many we have, and therefore we'll know in the future what we could afford to do.
Okay.
So that's what we're proposing.
And can I just ask a clarifying
Please.
question? I know it says all advanced degrees regardless of teacher certification. If the advanced degree is not related to something in education, would it still be accepted?
Yes.
Thank you for that clarity.
Yes. All right. The next item there, eligible ESE instructional, as well as all instructional assigned at exceptional centers to receive the one-time $1,400 supplement. This was the same language we had this past year, and it was 2,044 employees at a cost of $3.49 million. And then moving on to some of our historical things that we've done, but again, they're one time. So I don't want to start taking for granted that we have agreed to things. Like back in the day when we used to, you know, movements, we know we've lived it, right? Movement's not always automatic because we negotiate that. I know we all have different feelings on that, but it's not always automatic. So I don't think that we should, you know, these are things we want to do. We think they're great. And we also think because they're one time that we can't afford to do them. So the National Board Certified Teachers to receive the $1,000 payment, 91 employees at a cost of $111,000. Certified Behavior Analyst, this year there were 7 at a cost of $4,270. Licensed Student Services, count of 244 for a cost of 148,840. SLPs with their Cs, I don't know, just so I kind of took a mid-range, a midpoint, and approximately $158,600. Eligible LPNs and RNs regraded from pay grade 25 and 33 to pay grade 26 and 34 respectively, at a total cost of $610,000. And the board to pay the full cost of an employee-only health insurance premium for designated health plan. I think, again, this is something we cannot take for granted when we are looking around our state and we are looking around other districts and what they have been doing and the cost of insurance. We do have an approximate estimate of our employee-only plan, and this is only for CTA, your bargaining unit, so approximately $83 million. And then remember, if an employee is on a different plan, we still contribute to that plan. We still contribute for the employee as well as anyone who opts out at a cost of $47.3 million for an approximately cost of $130.7 million.
I have questions.
I'm sure.
No,
And-
I
and
think,
happily, I have our general
I know.
manager of employee
I knew
benefits,
she was here for
Dr.
a reason.
Schatzberg. No,
No,
and
I
I
think
want her to be able to also
Yeah.
speak to what our benefits package is and
Yeah.
what some trends are that they are seeing around the state.
yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that these are important things to include in our package because they are benefits that are negotiated. And I think I see some things over time that could be, that we always have that are actually in the contract. I know we agreed to them on this paper, but they're there, and I think we attempt to bring attention to it, but we don't put the cost to it. So I appreciate that there's a cost here. I think one thing that might be helpful is to know if this 130.7 million is the estimated cost. Is there a change from what we were paying this year for 22, what is this, 23, 24 to 24, 25? I think that might be important to show that what the board is now contributing as the increase for next year.
That would be additional.
5.4%. So this 130.7 is current, includes the four, okay.
That's with the 5.4%.
So
And it's
if,
coming from our insurance.
yep, yeah, I think that's why it's important to bring that here. So, what we could do is just for education purposes, show, we could back out the 5.4%, what it was for 23, 24 to show what we were paying, to show now the board is actually contributing an additional, multi-million.
Sure.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
easy to do.
I can do it while you're staring at it.
No. I'm saying, 'cause I think when we talk about recurring and non-recurring funds, I think that's important to show that there are things that the board, right, as far as the salaries, the agreed upon benefits. But then when there's this increase, that's the price tag that we're settling on, right? This new thing, or this new, whether it's a one-time payment or it increases to the scale, or it's increases to insurance, whether the insurance industry mandating terrible increases because it's a monopoly. But then again, how the board is contributing to that, I think is important for all employees to see. So I think that would be helpful, because it's kind of like, we got the cost that we know we're gonna pay for 24, 25. What's the new cost? That's now gonna be recurring from now on. So, cool.
All right, and then as a former math teacher, I like my numbers to be right. So give me a second here.
Yeah,
Because obviously that item 2, we had an edit, so I want to edit it for the back side as well.
oh, yeah.
All right, so knowing that the former math teacher can't add, you can see that the total estimate now would be an adjustment of that first number would now be 24,386,836. And then if you add that to the benefits, that will end up now being, the correct number would be 155,102,617. looks much prettier without crossed outs, but yes. Perfect.
Let's see what you. Oh, you didn't write that one down.
All right. Okay. Questions on what we have proposed across the table?
I can't think of any questions right now unless,
Do you want to talk about this now? Or you want to bring it on the backside?
yeah, I think it's a good time to bring it up. So last year, we had, sorry. Last year, we had a lot of discussion about one-time payments, supplements, bonuses, that sort of thing. And I think one thing that we settled on were some of the one-time payments that we agreed to would be one-time supplements. And we agreed on the ESE supplement in the actually ratified agreement that it would be a one-time supplement. And then it turned out to be a bonus.
Mhm.
And we also see that again here, where it's listed as a bonus here, but it's listed as a supplement here. And, you know, we end up getting a lot of questions about that and the tax implications, that it's taxed at that flat 22%, when it's deemed a bonus. And so we're wondering, you know, the position on the board, because we have a lot of supplements that are paid that are part of the employee's
Mhm.
pay. They're not taxed at that bonus
Understood.
tax. So
Yes.
that's something that, you know, we're struggling with because there was that intent, and I think what we talked about, and then what came to fruition on employees' paychecks was that it was taxed at that flat 22%, the ESE payment.
Okay, and I think we had clarification from finance that the one-time payments that are paid at the end of the year, they were all taxed the same as salary. So they should not have been taxed any differently than the salary you receive in your paycheck.
Okay. So if we have one, we can
Yeah,
talk about it on one of our
absolutely.
weekly calls, because
Absolutely.
that's what we thought, that it would be
Mhm.
taxed the same as that employees, you know, wherever they're being taxed at. But when an example that we got, I guess just last week,
Yeah,
Friday, had a 22%, which I understand 22% is the tax bracket of most of our instructional employees, but the federal flat rate for a one-time bonus is 22%, and
Okay.
different than what that employee, they're not being taxed 22%
Okay.
based on their withholding. So
We can
we'll give you that
verify that.
example.
Let's see that example.
Yeah, please, we
because-
just want to
yeah,
clarify, if
Yeah.
and when we're gonna be negotiating something that's other than a supplement,
Mhm.
then we need to know that.
Yeah.
So like,
Okay.
you know, I think all of us at this table need to know that.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. No, and
Because I believe that our intent at the table was not to tax it at a higher rate. And I think what, you know, language, that semantics of, it's a retention bonus, right? It's, the word bonus was not intended for the tax implication, but we think maybe it did play out that way. So,
okay, well, we can verify.
yeah, we can look at it.
With Stephanie Heaton, because we did see communication with her
But
that,
it says bonus.
Yeah.
okay.
all right.
So,
we'll
you know, so
verify with
finance
her.
position is the language that is written down, will dictate exactly that, okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
All right, we'll verify that.
Yeah, that's good to know. Okay, yeah, because, and I think that's what happened with this year on the language that we had, like this agreement that we did at the table, it was a one-time supplement. But then when we did the MOU, it came out as bonus, and then I think it was taxed as such.
Okay,
So,
all right, so we'll have to look at that.
the advanced degree supplement, I think I know the answer to this question, but we're getting a question, does it include student services? So the advanced degree is already included in their salary schedule.
That is correct, right?
Getting lots of questions here. Other staff such as kindergarten aides, bookkeepers, clerical, be scheduled. All of those folks would remain on their same pay grade. They would just be moving their step.
Correct.
Okay.
The only employees that would be regraded are the ESE instructional support.
That
And
are-
that is in
ESE.
lieu of getting an ESE one-time payment.
right. And the nurses being
The
regraded.
nurses being regraded as well.
Okay. I think this is this from Leslie? This may be a note. She's estimating the ASHA at maybe between 140 and 150.
Perfect.
And then. Okay, and then the question about those last few steps on the student services scale, you know, last year, due to the different, we went back and forth on this a lot, you know, all of the folks that moved to the student services schedule that were getting an advanced degree supplement, when they moved to the student services, that created an impact. So the reason we had that $1,000 supplement for those last 5 steps was to account for that advanced degree supplement. So just curious on that, if there was any consideration on that supplement for those last 5 steps.
We would be open to you presenting that.
Got it. Okay, anything else?
No, this one's for call.
All right. I think
All
that's
right.
it for questions.
All
from
right.
me.
All right.
So we're right at, we're like about 15 minutes till noon.
Mhm.
Do we want to caucus for like a working lunch?
That would be good. Yeah,
Okay.
we would like to caucus.
Do we want to give an hour and a half? Let's do an hour and a half. An hour and a half, too long?
At graduation.
Okay.
We can do an hour.
Okay.
Start with that.
So we'll come back, let's start with trying to get back at 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds
right.
good. He's like pulling.
Thank you very much and bearing with us. I know we did this last year, kind of where it was like, hey, we need a little more time, you know, you're trying to work on an error or whatnot. So I appreciate and hope that you had an okay lunch.
It was good. No, and we explained to the team, because we have new members on the team, obviously,
Yeah.
that sometimes happens and it's part of the process.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
understand.
it's easy when you're the one that like put on the table and you can just wait.
Yeah.
But
Speaking
hopefully you
of-
had some work to do in your pocket.
Always, always. And speaking of, I know that we may not have enough copies, and thank you for letting us use one of your printers and
Mhm.
copiers. So of course, my team, why we're a team, right?
Yeah.
They said that number looks low. So if you look at the first box, when it said CTA instructional, my employee count was off because I didn't have student services in there.
Got it.
So that was my mistake. So that has been added in there along with the cost of that, you know, just a step on the current salary schedule. So that was updated. I had already given you the update for number 2, where
Yeah.
I just didn't add right. And then one other update on the employee only healthcare plan, the total. I just had a typo. It is 130,700,000 for the total cost.
Yeah, and that's
So-
with the increase.
Correct. That is correct. Correct.
Got it.
So
Okay.
just wanted to give those updates. I apologize for
No,
that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we have a counter. I'm
Okay.
gonna try to go, let's see if I can make sure I have my documents in order. All right, so we'll go with the ESP counter first. It should be 2 pages. All right. There's a kind of a summary document and then the salary scale.
Okay.
Yeah, like a Jenga.
Yes, so there's 5 packets. Oh, okay. Everybody gets one, yeah.
Should
There's
take,
2.
there's 2, so
Take the whole,
yeah.
These two?
yep,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay,
everybody
it
gets
should be
2.
stacked, like.
Two.
All right. Everybody got it in front of them, looks like, all right. So we did counter with a little bit of money still on the salary schedule. And again, you know, I think we've talked a lot about this. Our goal is never, ever to put the district in a situation of, oh my gosh, we're gonna be bankrupt, right? We do a lot of, we listen to your budget presentation when you were here, we listen monthly, we analyze the district summary budgets that are filed with the state, we analyze the annual financial reports that are filed with the state, we analyze the FEFP as it comes out each calculation, and we analyze the FEFP as it comes in the final conference report, and we look at projections. Again, we also understand some of the concerns that are there, especially with the expansion of vouchers and family empowerment. We know there's a lot of talk about that and kind of what the state is projecting, but we know the state overprojects. And in fact, overprojected so much that in the 3rd calculation, the district got back about $4 million in overpayment of scholarships. So we always try to take that into account. We ask questions to try to make sure we're zeroed in on charters and how that impacts, money coming in for the teacher salary increase allocation money and other categoricals. So our counter is, again, our initial proposal is always in that realm. But our counter is also trying to solve those goals of our employees, right? The ESPs and our instructional staff had very aligned, they were pretty much in sync. Increase the salaries, pay for extra duties, and professional development compensation. It was pretty amazing, in fact, that they came out so aligned. So we do have a very strong goal and charge from members and employees to try to do more on that salary schedule. And we know over the last at least year that I've been here, that big conversation has been about equalized pay. And of course, our initial proposal was going to solve that problem. What this proposal does is it lessens that gap. We know that probably 60% of the employees right now are in that range of not eligible for equalized pay or close there. A lot of our employees rest on that pay grade 15 in those lower levels. So while you see a 55-cent increase from the $15 to $15.55, including the step in there, equates to a substantial movement for our employees. So we costed out this salary schedule with benefits, and the cost of the increase for the scale on the step is about $10.9 million. We understand that the cost for the 8-hour day movement is a significant cost. We think we can get there one day, but we know that we're going to have to budget about $5 million for that in recurring expense. The grade movement, now I think you guys had it about $200,000 more, and I was looking at our analysis on that, and I think the way we're including the cost here is that the 10.9 includes their step movement on the new proposal. Does that make sense?
It does.
So then that 414 is now the grade movement. So
Understood.
I think
That makes
we
sense.
were in there, and I did the same thing when we first proposed it. So, and then we'll talk about our ESE counter on the $1,000, because we kind of liked your idea of movement on the scale, but there were a lot of questions. So you'll see what we're going to counter with there.
Okay.
And then we know that we had a few things proposed in language dealing with comp time and some payment for nurses. So this represents a $20 million movement on our ESP proposal. So we're here to try to get something done. We've talked about a lot how far we've come, and we agree, but we also know that we can't stop. We've got to make some of these incremental gains for the base pay for our employees, because they can't make ends meet. We've got folks that work these 7.5, 8-hour days with students all day, and then they have to go work another job full time to be able to care for their families. So we'll walk through the counter here. So number one is, of course, the salary schedule increasing. Number two is the step movement, or the level. And again, I want to point out, we did retitle the levels as letters, and we're open on that, but I think one of the things that we hear a lot, we get a lot of confusion over years of experience based on those numbers. So we thought maybe letters, or even if it's 1A, 2B, or something like that, maybe just to help with that transition. Effective July 1, 2024, the ESPs at the top of their respective pay grade, we included this $1,000 one-time longevity payment. So here's what we're looking at for the ESP, ESE supplement. So we're trying to get it to about $1,000. When we looked at your proposal of just moving the step in the grade, it was a little under $1,000. It was maybe about $780, somewhere in there, for probably the majority of those employees. We got a lot of questions and concerns about that, with what happens if I move out of that, and then am I going to be moved back, and just kind of the hassle there. But what we thought we would do is take that payment and just divide it into an hourly rate increase. So they would stay on their same step and they would move their step in accordance with the proposal. But to earn that $1,000, it would be what we put here as an example in the form of an hourly rate supplement. As an example, 68 cents per hour for a 7.5-hour, 196-day employee, or and maybe my math's off there, but that was the goal. So you would get your $1,000 divided over your 196 stay.
So let me make sure I'm understanding, because we'll have to go back. So,
Yeah.
and I think, so you're saying that let's say, I'll just use one example.
Mhm.
So, because they're talking ESC, and ESC para 1
Yep.
is pay grade 15.
Yep,
Instead of moving the step and the grade, you're proposing that whatever that $1,000 would be divided by their hours and rate of pay, we would leave them on pay grade 15, but
Correct.
move them the appropriate amount of steps for placement on the salary schedule.
no. So everybody, so if you're a para, an aide or whatever, and you're on pay grade 15-1,
Mhm.
you'd move to 15-2 or B in our proposal. Now, if you're that employee that's working ESC, you stay there, but you get the 68 cents an hour addition to your hourly rate. So you're not moving, but you're just getting an hourly rate supplement. And I've seen this in a lot of districts where, employees will earn an extra credential, or they'll maybe do some supplemental work and they get an hourly rate added to their base pay.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah,
So it's the proposal on the new schedule, right?
Mhm.
It
yes, they stay there and then they get an hourly rate supplement equivalent to that $1,000 over their work year, divided up into, and again, in our example, and when it was quick math, but it was a 7.5 hour, 196 day, and I think I just took $1,000, so.
That's fine. So they would stay on whatever salary schedule.
Mhm.
They would move the step
With everyone else.
with
moving.
everyone else,
Uh-huh.
and then they would just get an additional supplement
In the form of an hourly rate.
in the form of an hourly rate. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm following you now.
Okay,
but you
okay.
see where I thought.
Yeah, I
It's funny
understand.
how you think. I was thinking you wanted us to add that on and then place them where.
No,
let's-
no,
let's
no.
Kind of meeting you in the middle of where you
Yeah,
were
yeah.
thinking about, right?
Yeah.
Making into,
Because this
And-
way,
and-
if for some reason somebody did leave that position, we wouldn't be having to do a whole demotion, or that equivalent. It was just
Okay.
the supplement end, but they're still on their
Right.
correct level and.
It's like
Great.
giving them a department head supplement, but it's an ESC
Yes.
supplement.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm understanding it.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Because we
you.
like that idea of having it be embedded
Mhm.
in the scale, but again, just some of those concerns about what happens if you move or change.
So
and-
first,
Yes,
Mhm.
correct,
then-
correct.
Okay, no,
That's the goal is, wherever we land on this scale.
yeah,
That would be an actual
Okay.
supplement. We did that in Nassau. That was an example. There were employees that would get a credential for, let's say, Microsoft, and they'd get a.
So is this a one-time supplement for this year, or this is ongoing supplement?
Well, I think the goal would be to have it be ongoing, just like maybe, somebody turn that down. I think it's mine, yeah. Because I think that was your proposal, right? If they were moved a grade, you wouldn't be moving them back and forth each year. So it would remain, but the issue is, what we were concerned about is, even if you move that grade and then you left that position, would they have to be moved back, or would they stay there? We felt like this was would solve that if that person did end up leaving that supplemented position, and they were still on pay grade 15. All you'd have to stop was the supplement, rather than now you got to move them back to a different grade.
understood. Yeah, we would, I mean, what we were proposing, changing it, if you went from, let's say you were on 16.2 and you decided to go to a position, let's say an SNS assistant, that was
Right.
pay grade 15, we would do the demotion formula,
Right.
which is level for level. So you would just move from where you are.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
understand what you're asking for.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Yeah.
okay. Mhm. That would be the question.
well, because you talked about.
Correct. Yeah, but they would still stay at their same, they wouldn't be then like, it's more about kind of that perception of, well, now I've been moved back a grade. That makes
Right, I
sense?
think that is correct, because our contractual language now says that when you demote or promote, it's level for level.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're
Okay.
presenting. I don't know that I think that's
No, see,
the
we're not
better
changing
path.
level.
right.
It just would be different.
Correct.
So my thing is
It's
almost
the same thing.
It's almost the
It's
same.
Same thing.
Okay,
You know what I
okay.
mean? So I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think, like,
I think we're on the same track.
I
It's just
mean-
maybe different ways of doing it. And if it really is, I think if we're clear then on, should you leave that position, then we just, we would just make
Right.
sure that that's clear.
Mhm.
I think that.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
And I think the other thing that, I mean, this is us just collaborating, obviously,
yeah.
but the one thing I do like about having it be a separate pay grade is that when you're recruiting new employees and they go to the salary schedule, your pay grade 16 as opposed to pay grade 15. And I think
Okay.
sometimes new employees don't see the supplements and they don't know how, like, I don't think
Okay.
someone's gonna look at that and say, oh, but I am gonna get 60 whatever cents on top of that. So, I mean, it's,
But doesn't our offer, isn't it more equitable for those that are doing the work as opposed to a fluctuating scale based upon where they're at? Anyway, that also was part of our thought, our thinking,
Okay.
right? Not everybody would get the same.
true. So,
That's all. I
Okay.
mean, these are all the things that we were
Yeah.
considering.
Yeah.
So we won't have to do this.
Mhm.
for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Honestly, we appreciate the creativity that's been put into this. We're looking for a middle ground here to make sure that it's equitable, that's all.
okay.
Yeah.
So whatever that may be.
We'll look
It
at
is around 780.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
Right.
Here.
yeah,
And we just try to embed that.
yes.
No, we get it. I mean, we like it.
But
Okay.
this is- Well, I'm just
Okay.
telling you,
That's
do
fine.
it like
Okay.
that. But
Okay.
we would like to do this salary separately.
Okay.
We get work
I think you hear our concern as well, so let's
Okay.
keep.
So we'll
keep
look
going,
at it.
getting back
We'll keep
it,
working
right?
on it. I
Yeah.
think we're
Yeah.
close on that one.
We are.
And maybe it's, because again, what we were trying to look at is, the instructional supplement is currently 1,400. And so we were trying to get it a little closer on that, have it be a 4-digit number rather than a 3-digit number, to be
Okay.
honest. So,
Right.
depending on where we land on the scale, maybe we do 2 steps or
Well,
maybe
I think
we're
we
able to do
consider
something there.
this for you. I mean, You know.
Mhm.
Right on.
Yeah.
When that research went out.
Money on the
we can't
scale.
keep on-
Agreed.
So what I'm hearing, like, make sure we're all on the same page, is we're both presenting that the ESC support employees would now have a recurring
Yes.
addition. The difference is we're presenting it as an additional, a change in their pay grade on their job description, and you're presenting it as a supplement that would be inside the
Step.
salary schedule.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But we'll
So
get
noted.
wherever we can get it,
Yeah.
again, whatever is easiest.
All right.
But again, our goal is to try to get more money
Mhm.
to folks and what they're taking home. So that
Okay.
was kind of where we were coming at, but
Understood. Nope, I
well,
understand
I
it.
think we've got work to do on the scale first and then
Yeah.
see where we can go with that.
All right.
Okay, and then again, on this salary schedule would remain the pay grade adjustment for our LPNs and RNs.
Mhm.
And then, of course, the insurance and fingerprinting, and we just referenced the sections of the contract that already list those things.
Okay.
So again, that's an estimated cost about 13.3 with some of the few of those unknowns.
All right.
We included our work there. And again, I didn't have time to update your employee numbers in R, but you saw our scattergram,
did.
so.
Yep.
At least we're working, I'm not changing that number yet.
Looking at your scattergram with what you've shared and our numbers, they're very close.
Yeah,
you
they
know.
sound close when we're
Mhm.
talking, so.
Finance is able to use real-time numbers, which is obviously a benefit that they have.
Lucky.
But it's still within the ballpark.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It's very close.
We're usually at least a week behind,
Yeah.
if not 2, depending on. But we know within a 24-hour period, it can change 50, 60 people.
It
so.
can. That is actually spot on.
I know, because we worked
We
with,
just checked with someone today and it was approximately 40 different,
Yeah,
just
we
as
worked-
of this morning.
yeah, we
So,
worked with
okay.
Brad on all of our employee counts. That's what we discovered, but good.
Now, just to clarify, the FACE liaison and credentials are due to the funding constraints. Are you taking that off the table at this
Yeah,
time?
I mean, that was part of our, trying to get,
I understand.
to get our, because again, what has been very clear is money
Mm-hmm.
in people's salaries, base salary. So whatever we can do, you know, if that means that a supplement right now goes away, or a supplement that never existed goes away, to be clear, because we're not getting rid of anything that's already occurring. But again, whatever we can do to get money on that scale, because these are our lowest paid employees and they're the ones struggling. And also, you know, again, to try to, you know, you shared with us the list of contracted service employees, and it's a lot. I know we've talked a lot about the nurses, and I think it's over $10 million we're investing in contracted services. And when you look at the breakdown, I mean, we're almost paying double. Right. But we know that those employees are net taking home double. Where does that money go to? It goes to that operator. And we know that we can't just say, oh, we're going to take this 10 million and put it here now, right? Because we still have to recruit. So we're trying to do whatever we can to slow, as slow,
Bring them back.
but without,
Right.
doing
And that's the
nothing.
challenge. Like you said, we can't
Mhm.
increase the salary and then we are, obviously, we
And
want to
still
pay our current employees, but then we're still paying
Right,
this
correct.
because we know it's not just salary.
Yeah.
Some people like to work virtually. There's some different flexibilities with some of these different jobs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we need to continue to recruit employees back to us and retain the ones that we have,
Yeah.
and do it responsibly.
Yeah, and we've heard so much from our employees on both the instructional and the support professional side of, there are a lot of those employees that are working with contractors, work for HCPS, but they can't take that hourly rate cut. Maybe they would take a little bit less because there are benefits involved,
Right.
but there's recruiting opportunity there within those contracted services. Also, what we're finding is a lot of our employees end up still having to do a lot of the work for some of these folks or training them.
Right.
And so we know that if we're paying our folks to train contracted services, then where are they going? They're probably not staying here.
Yep.
So again, that is really important to us, that we make some kind of improvement to the ESP salary schedule in addition to the step. So, all right.
All right.
Next coming your way is instructional.
Or I don't. Thank you.
Okay, now. There's my copy. No, I'm good. I just had it underneath all it. Okay. So our counter also includes changes to the salary schedules, which are included here. So I guess we'll walk through the written part first, and then we can look at the scales and kind of what our goal was there.
All right.
So again, this is effective July 1, the salary schedules agreed upon will be updated, which include money on the scale, and we'll walk through some of those costs. And then number 2 is the step movement for their year of experience. Number 3 is a one-time top step payment. Number 4 is this is the $500 supplement for the licensure. We had some feedback that there were some folks on student services that were being left out. So what we did is we just said all who are on student services salary schedule and hold their licensure. We're willing to work on that, but we realized we didn't have the OTs and PTs included. That also includes some licensure. So we felt that, is there a way to include all those folks? If we're going to list them, then we need to make sure we list everyone. And that was just an unintentional oversight when we were trying to think of all the different positions that we represent.
Okay.
And we've countered with instead of 500, 750.
Do you, is that the only one that your team believes has been?
I think so. Those are the only ones that I heard from. I don't know if anyone from our student services can think of any other positions that needs to be included. Okay.
Okay.
So what's that?
under
Yeah,
student
we wanted to make
services.
sure counselors.
I think that's all of them, if we think
Yeah,
about it. It's
Okay,
counselors, social workers, psychologists, OTPT,
okay.
and
okay.
mental health counselors. So
Health clinicians, right?
mental health clinicians and
Yeah.
And they
specialists.
hold their license. They hold their license.
Correct. Okay, I think that is
We
all
just
of
wanted to
the
make sure we
employee
were not
groups under
leaving
there.
employees out.
Correct,
So-
correct.
That,
And
that was the only change there in the language, but we're
Okay.
willing to, you know,
And then countering with 750.
yes.
Okay.
So that'd be about a $250 increase.
Okay.
And then the ESC instructional employees, here what we did, we know that we had made a proposal for school psychologists to get a retention payment.
Mhm.
So what we're proposing here is in addition to the ESC employees that we've already kind of named and included, that the school psychologist would also earn this $1,400 or we're proposing with the 1,500.
Got it.
But would also be eligible for this payment because they do primarily work with ESC students and so we felt that that was a way to do something to try to honor that work.
Okay,
So that's the counter there, that it's, and we have underlined and supplement, because we're wanting to be very clear that this is included in their supplemental pay. And I believe everything else is pretty much the same as the way you listed it. And then, of course, the National Board Certified Teacher, one-time $1,000 payment for the mentoring. We also, we put back in the 4,500 for the Renaissance and Transformation employees. And that's been based on a lot of conversation with the folks we've been working with on the Transformation MOU.
Mhm.
We don't think there's a lot of them, but it is listed in the contract. And so we did, as it says here, in accordance with section 22.4.8.
Okay.
So we just asked that you go back and maybe talk with Shay McCray and some others.
Right.
We can forward you some of the conversation and discussion we've had there.
I've been
on-
copied on that. So
Okay,
that's where
okay.
I am aware that that is something that was part of that transformation
Yeah.
agreement, but understood.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing. It wasn't included in the MOU because it is
in the
already in the
contract.
contract.
But in the contract, it does say for the 23-24 school year. So
It actually-
because it doesn't for
I
that
don't
one?
believe so.
Okay,
It may-
okay, it
We'll,
might
we'll
not.
look at it. I know we proposed it when we came on the 6th and we made sure that that language was clear in the
Okay.
contract. I think that where only for the 23-24 school year had to do with the overall Renaissance pay,
okay.
and the national board was a separate item that didn't have those dates.
Well, and we probably didn't put that when we updated the contract last year because Renaissance was going to be ending. So there was no need for the next part to,
Yeah.
because it's coming out, but that
So,
makes sense.
Yeah, and so we've heard from these employees,
Yep.
our national board that are working at these transformation and
Mhm.
Renaissance schools, and they've been getting it, and so we, you know,
Understood.
we believe we had a commitment from the district on this, so we just ask that you go back and revisit.
Will do. Will do.
And then the SLPs with their CCCs, we've countered with 1,500 to kind of be, you can kind of see our theme, right?
Mhm.
Kind of keep it in the $1,500 range. And then, of course, the board health insurance and fingerprinting with reference to the contract.
Okay.
Language where we believe it's already in there, but we get it. I think there's some work we can do to include maybe more of our benefit information actually in our contract. Like we've done some work to now have the salary schedules there. We have the supplements there. I've seen other contracts that include benefit breakdown because it's important to show that that's a benefit that, you know, employees are bargaining and the board is paying for. So maybe this year is not the year, but we'll share some examples. Because I think it helps educate, right?
Mhm.
And
It does.
so, yeah, okay. So the salary scales, so we've done some changes on the instructional 10-month, instructional 12-month, and the A and B schedule as well as the ROTC. I have copies of the student services scale from last time, but our counter is keep them as they were proposed last time. If you need copies of those, I have those here. There's 5 of them, but
Mhm.
but we also know that, you know, some of the work we do here can impact that scale. You know, again, like we discussed, a lot of the work that we did last year, when we moved those folks, we had to take into careful consideration that if they're moving to a scale that they maybe work the same number of hours or days, but they're really not making any more money because they lost the master supplement. Some of those things were already included in our proposal last time.
Okay.
Also, just trying to take into consideration the many years that the old health pro scale had been kind of not considered for many years
Mhm.
and trying to create more of that separation. So that's why we've kept that at the same,
Okay.
just so you understand.
And I do understand that,
Yes,
but I
Yeah.
would say that there are, and I don't disagree that, the student services that remained on the student services maybe didn't see the same increase. But those counselors and social workers and SLPs that moved from the instructional to the student services
right?
scale probably saw the greatest increase of any
Yeah,
of our
understood.
employees. So, and not
And
that
then-
it wasn't needed.
Yeah, and that would be
To
the
keep up,
counterpoint, right?
yeah.
That, oh, maybe that should have been done a long time ago. So, I think everybody's understanding on that, but that is our rationale for leaving our
Okay.
counter here the same on those scales. But we have
Okay.
made significant adjustments the other,
All
the
right.
bulk of our employees are on these
Okay.
scales.
All right,
Um,
let's see it.
So what we've done here is, we've kept the 47,500 as base pay, which is
Mhm.
not ideal. I mean, I'll be honest, I think we've been trying the last 2 years to increase that starting salary. That's a big recruiting point, right? When you can tell surrounding counties that, well, we start a little bit higher. So then what we've done is we made some slight adjustments to step EO1 to EO8, trying to make a little bit more gains there on those steps. The rest of the steps remain the same, but by just adjusting those first few steps by, maybe, what is that, 200, about 107, $50 or so.
Can you
That,
clarify, the rest of the steps remain the same as our current schedule or remain the
right,
same
so
as
right
your
now,
first
so
proposal?
if you look at, on the left is the current salary
Oh, here we
schedule.
go. Thank you.
And so the steps from EO1 to EO8, it goes 250, 250, and then we have 2 steps with 275, and then the steps are all 1,335. All we've done, we've
Mhm.
kept 47,500 as the base,
Got
but
it.
we've increased the step on step 1 to 400, step 2, 400, step 3, 400, step 4, 400,
Mhm.
step 5, 450,
Right,
450, 450, 450, and then we've maintained the 1,335.
got it.
Just by making those slight adjustments on the very right hand, all the way on the very right hand, you can see the increase that an employee would realize. So they would realize their step plus the money on the scale.
Mhm.
And then of course the 2,000 at the bottom for those folks at the top of the scale to try to keep them in line. That adjustment alone, just kind of backing it down from where we started at 48 with a little bit higher on the steps, is about a $20 million decrease from our original proposal, which then would play out in the 12-month schedule. And then what we did is we looked at what our higher paid folks were making at a 4% increase. We applied 4% to the A and the B scale. And we also, in the cost breakdown, I know we talked about this a little bit last time with ROTC. And the way we were costing them out was looking at their salaries based on the data that we have. They're not placed anywhere on a salary schedule. So we were looking at, they would also get a 4% increase in line with our A and B and the majority of our employees. Okay. And then of course the student services stays the same. So I do have a document with our breakdown cost.
Can I have one of these? Oh, yeah, I just want to keep it in there.
Yep. If you need extras, like that.
Thank you. Just one
It
page,
is.
yes.
The one page in there
I don't know what this is.
from Leslie.
All right. So our new instructional E and P, G and Q, A and B, ROTC, and keeping the student services. I say new cost, but that's exactly what we proposed last time. Drops the grand total to 36.4 million. With the ESE retention supplement at 1,500, that's 1,500, and I also included the amount of school psychologists that I had on my list.
Okay.
So, let me look, I might have it on my document here. I didn't have time to make a nice breakdown
No, that's
sheet like
okay.
you.
That's always the joy of going first.
Yeah,
You
so
have-
we based that on 2,170 employees.
Mhm.
So the amount of employees that you had listed for ESE, we just added in the number of school psychologists that we had counted.
What number did you count? No, that's okay.
Whatever
I'll
it,
pull
whatever it was, 2,170 employees total,
Okay, no, that makes sense.
to get that amount. So it's 3.975. The 2,000 longevity payment, we kept your estimate there. we are withdrawing that proposal to increase the advanced supplements. We know that those are gonna remain, but now, and I can't remember I don't believe you put it on your written
I didn't,
document.
that was my,
But what we can do, I know we already have those supplements listed in the contract. We could look to maybe just add a note there that, you know,
think that'd
now
be a
we
good
include,
idea.
yeah,
Yep.
something there.
Yep.
So
and we
there's
can
no
add it
addition-
on the economic proposal. That wasn't intentional.
Yeah, but we do have some of that. So this is one item, but we also had a lot of language that we propose that also we know
Mhm.
has some financial impact. We're
Correct.
hoping some of that might be countered on, but we
Mm-hmm.
can look at that advanced degree supplement payment in that part of the contract and just
Okay.
add that language that was on your sheet.
Okay.
We understand that maybe the reading and gifted endorsement payment this is not the year for that. The SLP analyst retention and the school psychologist retention, what we're trying to do there is capture those folks in that $750 payment and then the $1,500 for school psychologist.
Okay.
By increasing the 1,500 CCCs for the SLPs, that put that up to 274,000. Let me see if I got my math here. Yeah, we base that 1,500 on 150 employees, including the approximately 22% fringe. And then the student services licensure as well, about 244 employees and that is the $250 increase.
Right.
From the 750, because we know we've been paying those folks 500. So that's how we came up with this 74,000.
Okay. So that's because that's not a, in the student services or in the salary schedule. So that's
Right.
been done as a 1-year annual payment.
But
So
we've been paying it for many years.
we've done it the last couple.
Yeah. So those one-time additional costs, and again, some of these other things that are just kind of left, you know, that those are things
These
kind
are
of
still
pending in the
pending.
language.
Correct.
So that comes to about 8.4 million, 8.5 million. So again, the difference here on this proposal, like our ESPs, drops the counter by about $20 million.
So make sure I have grand total. This does not incur, this is just for instructional, correct?
Yes, this is the
Yeah.
instructional, and
Okay.
on the other one, you've got down at the bottom, the estimated cost of 13.3 in the green.
I got it from,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so 13.3. Got it. Okay. You did a lot of work in a really short amount of time there.
I know.
All right. Okay.
So, 29, just getting some. That's about 58.3 million. It's very close to what we settled on last year. And we can talk more. I mean, we're hoping that you're able to go back and do some work and make, especially the advances and increases to the salary schedule done. But we're able to talk about where we believe this money can come from if you need us to, but we may wait and see.
Okay. All right. Well, anybody on our side, especially finance, any questions regarding this so that we know what we need to cost out? No? Okay.
We'll reach out if we have.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, you guys are the math whizzes.
All right. So a couple things. So I think it's important that we schedule a follow-up session.
Okay.
I also did have just so that we can say that we agreed on something today.
Okay.
So what I do have is just the typos that we wanted to
Oh,
fix.
okay.
Hey. So this was the language. I did go back and just verify that, this was section 23.3.1 that you
Yep.
had passed across, but should have said 24.3.1.
Right.
So I have TA'd that. That is
Okay.
accurate.
You may have to make copies of yours because I didn't bring them from last
Okay.
time.
Just wanted to have a feel good
Yeah.
moment. So.
Well, that's what I was hoping last time. This is 24.3.1 B. This should say 24.
It was 25. No, it's not the grievance stuff. We haven't done that yet. It was from last time. Oh, the very first session.
Yeah, when we renumbered
Okay.
the
Yeah.
All right, so I TA'd, this is instructional, so I
right, so we'll make
TA'd
copy of
that,
that.
but we'll have to, we can make some copies before you leave.
And then I did have a question on this one. I should
Okay.
have brought a copy. It is really weirdly worded.
Yes.
I believe it was trying to say that when you are, and we can still talk about this down the road because we're still gonna be looking at language next time with
Yep.
some of the language that you proposed.
Yep.
But I'm wondering if that's for when you are covering losing planning time because you were proctoring a test. I think
Okay.
that's what that was referencing. So I didn't TA that yet, but I want us to just look at that,
Yeah.
both of us on our side of the table and just kind of, let's look at whether that whole last sentence needs to be reworded.
Yeah.
It is oddly worded in 3.5.2.
Yeah, and in our research, we couldn't find, it just appeared.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find any TA on that, and it makes me think that maybe there was a TA somewhere else and maybe it got entered in the wrong
I
spot.
don't know.
Because we know proctoring is talked about in another part of the contract. So we think it was a typo, but
Okay,
I'll
which
talk-
makes sense, because I looked back 2 contracts and I was like, I don't.
it's
know
just
where
one, it's just one, it was in a 3-year period. Where the contract had been negotiated and it was in a 3-year agreed to, and then in one revision.
Correct.
Somewhere it disappeared. And again, we went back and looked in our bargaining notes and couldn't find a TA actually,
Okay.
where it was, explicitly agreed to for ratification. So,
Makes sense. So let's look at it and see how we
Yeah.
want it to be worded, because it is awkward.
yeah, it
It's
looks,
awkward
again, it looks
wording.
like somebody dropped it in the wrong spot.
Okay, that makes sense, but we need to make
We
copies
just
of
need to
that.
make copies
Yeah.
of this.
So we'll look at that. So yes, so we basically will just need some time to bring this back, look at it, and then come back
Okay.
to the table.
Okay. All right.
When do we want to do that?
Yeah,
Let's see.
pull our calendar.
All right.
Free tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Pooling June 6th. Team, can we all look at our June 6th calendar?
There's a board meeting in the evening.
Oh, there's a board meeting that day?
No, no,
Oh, for you,
Our board.
during the
No, we
day?
don't.
No, we don't?
No,
Oh,
not
sorry,
June.
I'm on the wrong.
Cancel it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Never mind.
we could do Thursday.
We could do Thursday.
Just during the day, like same time?
Start at 10:30.
Yeah, close, and we have that.
Second day.
Yeah. Yeah. The application.
We could do that.
When?
She was saying on Friday. I mean, we're closed. Yeah, we're closed. Go back to the 6th. I really want to try to get it by the end of that week. Okay,
What, 6?
June 6th.
Yep.
Yeah, as long as one is able to be here. So,
What time? No. She didn't have.
it's because of district leadership. Then she may have a conflict with district leadership symposium presenting.
Oh, okay.
What about, we can look the day before. What about June 5th? What about June 5th? Just move forward.
I think we have all day training here.
Do you?
Yeah. June
No.
5th.
Yeah, that doesn't help that, does it?
June 5th probably won't work for us.
Okay. So
Board meeting.
let's go June 6th at 10 a.m.
That'll work for us.
June 6th at 10 a.m. All right.
June 6th, 10 a.m. here, correct?
That can work. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
We're gonna get it done like that.
Yes.
Make sure Jeff Gibson agrees to all the
Yes,
English
we
language.
will. All right, we will work on all that so we come in as prepared as possible. And
Yeah.
if we have any challenges with that, we will reach out. You know, it's always hard coordinating right here. sitting
Yeah.
With everybody, so.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of items in the contract language that
Mhm.
maybe there's some things you all will be willing to do there that then may impact some of these other supplement that we're looking at.
Okay. Sounds good.
right.
All right. Thank you, everyone.